1420, Talus River Valley, Northern Silk Road beyond the Jiuan Pass. Chapter 2, The Silk Road, 20 years earlier. General Zhang Wu watched the line of caravan wagons, winding their way along a rutted track, slowly emerging from the shadow of a narrow ravine, cut into the eastern end of a long, flat, sloping river valley. The fertile valley, with its shallow, quicksilver streams, stretched west for several miles toward the distant western pass of Trezza. Rolling out from the grassy, wind-blown plains was a rising succession of rock-strewn rolling hills, drawing up to a high, saw-toothed, encircling ridge of gray, splintered stone. Beyond were the titanic, snow-shrouded Tian Shan Mountains, cascading ever upwards into the blue vaults of the celestial heavens. The caravan was currently 1,500 miles west of the Great Wall's Demon Gate, 3 days' hard ride from Taraz. Zahn and the royal procession of goods he guarded had now been traveling for 140 days, stopping at oases spread out across the Silk Road like islands in the seas of endless sand. They had long ago traveled past the farthest edge of the great Ming Empire, and now were deep in Choras Orat Mongol territory, 30 days' hard ride from the furthest western Chinese outpost. This dangerous section of the ancient caravan road and the rugged land stretching north for hundreds of miles was controlled by the bloodthirsty Western Mongolian Khan, Isintashi. Zahn had been on razor's edge for weeks, haunted by the ever-present feeling of savage eyes, watching him amid the shadowy crags of the surrounding ramparts. He had little faith that the bribes of the Timurid Persian merchants of Taraz would sway the Khan to let the caravan pass through his lands unmolested, regardless of the assurances of safe travels by the Emperor's ministers of trade. General Zahn! Called a mounted soldier trying to push his way through the guards surrounding his position. Zahn recognized him as one of the forward scouts he had sent to ride ahead of the caravan. The general pumped his scale-armored fist and signaled his personal guards to let the scout and his horse through. The thin soldier was out of breath, and his black and red lacquered lamellel armor and conical bronze helm were coated in layers of thick dust and grime. Chow reporting, sir," the man wheezed in a weary voice. I am afraid to inform you, I am the only man to return from the scouting party. As you ordered, Anak and I rode around the valley to the south," he said, nodding to the steep hills to the right that stretched out before them. We met no resistance and saw no sign of the Mongols." "Continue," Zahn said, stroking his long, pointed black beard. "As you instructed, Anak and I rounded the forward hills via the high pass and closed on the end of the valley to rendezvous with Tannen and the other scouts. But they never arrived." "And what of Anak?" asked Zahn. "When Tannen and the others did not show, Anak chose to ride back to report. As agreed, I waited until just after the sun rose over the western summits and hastened home. But when I arrived, the forward guard informed me that only I had returned." The pair rode together in silence for a time, the general's compact, lithe build emanating a deadly flowing grace and power. His barrel-like chest and thick-corded neck supported a handsome, broad, heavy-boned countenance, baked dark by the searing sun of the harsh desert. A spiked black beard, long mustache, and oily locks spilling from his polished pointed helm framed an intense expression and ever-watchful brown almond-shaped eyes. Sitting aside an imperial sleek white stallion, his fur-lined red silk cape blown back by the turbulent canyon winds revealed rows and rows of interlocked ebony lamellar mail and a dark armored breastplate etched with the swirling shapes of warring dragons. About his midsection was wrapped a scarlet silken sash, supporting a long two-handed double-edged Changdao blade and an array of deadly daggers. With the eyes of a hawk, he watched the long serpentine train of oversized wagons, swaying back and forth, crawling their way over the rugged path, clustered between the whipping red banners and glinting armor of his men. "You did well, Chow," he said at last, "and, by the look of you and your steed, you must have ridden like the wind to arrive here so quickly." "Yes," Chow continued, defeated eyes lowered, fixed on his horse's sweating dark and matted mane. Zahn motioned to one of the soldiers riding to his right. "Yes, General," the commander barked as his broad frame drew near. "Ride to the front guard, and tell Jin Zhao to fall back, and form a tighter guard around the Sultan and the center of the caravan as we enter the valley. Alert the hornsmen, and prepare the shield walls for an attack from the northern flank." Zahn squinted at the opening expanse forward of the caravan's position and considered the towering hills. So many places to hide among the serrated ridgeline. Anak was one of his best. The fact that he had not returned was indeed a dark omen. Since leaving the last bastion of safety, Zahn had constantly sent scouts riding at varying distances in every direction from the caravan, seeking any sign of Mongol treachery among the clefts and crags surrounding the ancient Silk Road. Each time his scouts had returned with confirmed accounts of their presence, he had halted the great line of soldiers, beasts, wagons, and carriages, sending his men ahead to sweep the surrounding hills, forcibly eliminating any thieving local Mongol chieftains. However, his returning riders always reported that the small villages and encampments had been hastily abandoned, with the smoke of their darkened fires still lingering. Zahn had grown up among the Mongols, and he had fought in the saddle with the riders of the steppe since he was 5, and he knew that retreat was a tactic of his crafty race. After many weeks of this tireless game, he sensed they were slowly drawing back, gathering for an all-out attack. The one skill that had kept him alive among his enemies for countless years was in anticipating exactly when they would strike. Currently, his deep gut-twisting instincts warned him that the steep valley steps and the broad open plain ahead were a perfect trap to ensnare him and his charge. "Make haste!" Zahn snapped. Orders immediately rang through the air as 50 black-armored light cavalry and their gilded mounts sprang forward in unison, charging through the ranks of slower riders, stretching into the open grassy expanse of the encroaching valley. Dismissing Chow with a grunt, the general spurred his own mount forward into the billowing dust of his men toward the center of the slowing caravan.